The warning came on a Tuesday morning, Earth Standard Time. Captain Day stood on the observation deck of Europa Defense Platform, watching Jupiter's massive storms swirl below. His coffee had gone cold in his hand. The sensors had picked up something impossible. 847 objects had appeared at the edge of the solar system, each one larger than Earth's biggest space stations. They had not traveled there. They had simply appeared. Dr. Hai Kim was the first to understand what the signals meant. She worked in a small office in Geneva, surrounded by computers and translation programs. When the alien message came through, every screen in her office lit up at once. The message repeated in thousands of languages, including several Earth had never heard before. "People of Earth," the translation read, "you have violated galactic law." Hai's hands shook as she typed. She had spent her whole life wondering if humanity was alone in the universe. Now she knew the answer, and it terrified her. Admiral Jin Park received the full message 2 hours later. He sat in the command center beneath the Korean peninsula, watching the data stream across holographic displays. 23 different alien species had signed the message. They called themselves the Galactic Concordat. They had rules. Humanity had broken them. The rules were simple. Space was reserved. Earth was supposed to stay on Earth. By building colonies on Mars and the Moon, by sending miners to the asteroids, humanity had crossed a line that should never have been crossed. The punishment was clear. Humanity had 30 days to choose. They could dismantle every station, every colony, every satellite. They could reduce Earth's population from 14 billion to 2 billion. They could serve the Concordat for 500 years as slaves. Or they could refuse and be destroyed. Primitives, the message called them. Species who stumble into technology they do not deserve. Una was 26 years old and worked at the radio telescope array in New Zealand. She had been the first person to detect the alien fleet. Now she stood outside the facility, looking up at stars she had studied her entire life. Somewhere out there, 847 ships waited for an answer. Her supervisor had told her to go home. Everyone was going home. Families were gathering. People were praying or crying or pretending everything would be fine. Una knew it would not be fine. Captain Day ran calculations on his platform. The alien ships were spreading out, forming a sphere around the inner solar system. Their positioning was perfect for orbital bombardment. They were not preparing for negotiation. They were preparing for execution. He sent the report to Admiral Jin. The response came back in minutes. Evacuate non-essential personnel. Prepare defensive positions. Wait for orders. Day looked at his crew. 38 men and women who had volunteered to live on Europa, to defend the outer colonies, to stand watch over humanity's future. They all knew what defensive positions meant. They all knew what wait for orders meant. They were going to die out here. On Mars, the colony of Olympus Station orbited the red planet. 45,000 people lived there. Engineers and scientists and families. Children who had been born in space and never seen Earth. The alien ships did not warn them. The attack lasted 7 seconds. A beam of light, brighter than any sun, touched the station. Metal vaporized. Air exploded into space. 45,000 lives ended before any of them could scream. Dr. Hai watched the footage. The other scientists in Geneva watched with her. No one spoke. The aliens had made their demonstration. The message was clear. This is what happens to primitives who do not obey. Admiral Jin called an emergency meeting. Every military commander on Earth and in space attended. They ran simulations. They analyzed the alien technology. They calculated odds. Every simulation gave the same result. 0.003% chance of victory. The alien weapons could crack continents. Their shields could stop anything humanity could throw at them. Their technology was 400 years more advanced. "We cannot win," one general said. "Then we negotiate," another replied. "Negotiate what?" Admiral Jin's voice was quiet. "They want us to kill 12 billion of our own people. They want our children to be slaves. What is there to negotiate?" President Mira Song listened to the arguments from her office in New Seoul. She was 53 years old and had led Earth for 6 years. She had dealt with climate disasters and resource wars and political upheaval. Nothing had prepared her for this. Her advisors suggested surrender. They showed her the math. They explained that some survival was better than extinction. Myra looked at the photographs on her desk. Her daughter, her granddaughter, 3 years old, with bright eyes and a future that should have been full of wonder. "No," she said. The word hung in the air. "Madam President, we have no choice. There is always a choice." Myra stood. "Bring me General Tay. Bring me everyone with clearance for Project Prometheus. And do it quietly." General Tay arrived within the hour. He was old, scarred from wars that most people had forgotten. He carried a data chip that had not been connected to any network for 30 years. "You want to use it," he said. "Not a question. Tell me what it does." Tay inserted the chip into an isolated terminal. Files appeared, schematics, calculations, simulations that made the advisors in the room turn pale. "We built it in the 2190s, Tay explained. "After the resource wars, we were afraid of what we might do to ourselves. We created a failsafe, a weapon that could not be stolen or hacked or stopped. We called it Prometheus, after the Titan who stole fire from the gods," Mira said. "Yes, because we learned to steal fire from the sun itself." The plans showed weapons hidden throughout the solar system, satellites that could redirect solar flares, gravitational disruptors placed near the sun, artificial intelligence systems that had been waiting dormant for 50 years. "If we activate this," one advisor whispered, "we will kill billions of our own people." "The aliens will kill billions anyway," Myra replied. "At least this way, we take them with us." Dr. Soong had designed most of Project Prometheus. She was 70 years old now, retired, living on a farm in Korea. They brought her to the command center. She looked at the old plans and smiled sadly. "You want me to turn our son into a weapon. Can you do it?" "I designed it to work. Whether we should do it is a different question." "They murdered 45,000 people to frighten us," Mira said. "They want us to choose which 12 billion of our own we kill. They think we are primitives. Show me how we prove them wrong." The vote was secret. 15 people in a room deep underground. The decision that would change everything. 13 voted yes. 2 voted no. Captain Day received new orders. Take his platform closer to the alien fleet. Transmit a message of negotiation. Make them think Earth was preparing to surrender. Buy time for the real plan. He looked at his crew. They understood. They were bait. They were the sacrifice that might save Earth. Not one of them refused. Hai continued translating alien communications. She found intercepted messages between the alien ships. They were discussing which Earth cities to destroy first. They were betting on how long humanity would resist. They were laughing. They had exterminated 17 species before. Humanity would be number 18.3 days before the deadline. President Myra sent humanity's response to the Galactic Concordat. It was broadcast on every frequency, in every language, to every ship in their fleet. 2 words. We refuse. The alien fleet did not respond to Earth's refusal with words. They responded with movement. 847 ships began advancing toward Earth. Their formation was perfect. Their weapons were charging. Every sensor on every human station watched them come. General Tay stood in the war room beneath Geneva. Around him, Holographic displays showed the approaching fleet. Red dots moving through space like blood drops in water. How long? President Myra asked. 72 hours until they reach Earth orbit. Maybe less if they accelerate. And our fleet? Tay pulled up another display. Blue dots. Far fewer than the red ones. We have 340 warships. 20,000 fighter craft. Orbital defense platforms on Earth, Mars, and the Moon. Will it be enough? Tay did not answer. He did not need to. Everyone in the room could see the numbers Dr. Soong arrived with her team. They carried equipment that had not been used in decades. Computer systems that had been kept offline, isolated from every network, waiting for a day that everyone hoped would never come. Project Prometheus is ready, Soong said. But you need to understand what it will do. She activated a simulation. The room darkened. A holographic sun appeared in the center. Around it, tiny dots represented the planets: Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury. The sun produces energy through nuclear fusion, Soong explained. Every second, it converts 4 million tons of matter into pure energy. We cannot create that much energy, but we can redirect it. Her fingers moved through the controls. Red lines appeared on the hologram, stretching from the sun outward. We placed gravitational disruptors near the sun 30 years ago. They are disguised as research satellites. The aliens do not know they exist. When activated, they will create a directed coronal mass ejection. Speak plainly, Mira said. We will make the sun spit fire. A massive solar flare, larger than anything natural, aimed precisely at the alien fleet. One of the generals leaned forward. How massive? Enough to sterilize everything in the inner solar system. Except Earth. We will be in the shadow zone. Protected, but barely. And our colonies? Our people on the orbital stations? Sung's face was stone. Gone. Everyone outside Earth's protective shadow will die. That includes our military fleet, our defense platforms, anyone we cannot evacuate in time. The room was silent. How many? Mira asked quietly. 3 billion people, maybe more. Hannah worked in intelligence. She had spent weeks decrypting alien communications, trying to understand their language, their culture, their intentions. What she found made her sick. She brought the files to Admiral Jin. They have done this before, she said, 17 times. When a species refuses their ultimatum, the Concordat does not just destroy their military. They destroy their entire civilization. They burn their planets until nothing lives. Then they move on. Jin read the reports, species names he could not pronounce. Worlds reduced to ash. Billions of lives erased from existence. They are going to kill us all anyway, Hannah said. Even if we surrender. They will take what they want and burn the rest. Can you prove this? I can show you the patterns. The Concordat's own records. They do not allow primitives to survive. Ever. Jin forwarded the files to President Mira. She read them in her office, alone. When she finished, she sat in darkness for an hour. Then she made her decision. Captain Day received his final orders. Take Europa platform and move toward the alien fleet. Broadcast a message requesting negotiation. Make them think humanity was weakening. Draw them into position. He gathered his crew, 38 people who had become family during their years in space. We are the bait, he told them. Our job is to make them confident. Make them think we are broken. While they are watching us, the real attack will come from somewhere else. A young officer raised her hand. Will we survive? Day looked at her. She was 22. She had joined the Defense Force because she wanted to see the stars. No, he said, we will not. No one spoke. Then, slowly, each crew member nodded. For Earth, someone said. For Earth, They all replied. Dr. Hai continued her work. The aliens sent more messages, demands, threats, instructions for surrender. She translated them all, even though each one made her angrier. One message was different. It came from a single alien ship, not the whole fleet. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear. You are prey. You are food. You are resources. Nothing more. Your defiance is amusing. Your extinction will be educational. Hai sent the message to everyone who needed to see it. Let them understand what humanity faced. Let them know there was no mercy waiting, no compassion, no hope for peace. The aliens saw humanity as insects. It was time to show them what insects could do when they were cornered. President Mira addressed the world. Her speech was broadcast to every screen, every radio, every device on Earth. They came to our home, she said. They demanded we destroy ourselves or become their slaves. They killed 45,000 of our people to frighten us. They think we are weak. They think we will break. She paused. 14 billion people watched her. They are wrong. We will not surrender. We will not kneel. We will fight with everything we have. Many of us will die, but we will die as free people, and we will make them regret ever finding us. The speech lasted 3 minutes. When it ended, people did not panic. They did not riot. They did what humans always did when facing extinction. They prepared. Families evacuated to underground shelters. Cities activated emergency protocols. Volunteers joined the defense forces. Engineers worked day and night to build more weapons, more ships, more anything that might help. General Tay coordinated the military response. He knew the truth. He knew about Project Prometheus. He knew what was really going to happen. But the soldiers did not need to know. They needed to fight. They needed to believe they had a chance. Commander Wu received special orders. He led a squadron of 12 ships, the Ghost Fleet. They were experimental vessels, designed to be invisible to most sensors. No one knew if they would work against alien technology. Your mission is simple, Tay told him. Hide. Wait. When the main attack begins, you strike the alien command ships. Disable them. Make them blind. And after that, survive if you can. But survival is not the primary objective. Wu understood. He briefed his crews. They prepared their ships. They said goodbye to families they would never see again. Dr. G was young for a quantum physicist. She was 31 and had designed humanity's first experimental faster-than-light weapon. Not a ship, a missile dot. It did not travel faster than light. Instead, it collapsed space-time around its target, a miniature black hole that existed for 3 seconds before evaporating. 3 seconds was enough. We have one prototype, she told the military commanders. One shot. If it works, it will destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers of the impact point. And if it does not work, then we wasted our only surprise. The decision was made. The weapon would be used. Timing was everything. Admiral Kwan commanded the defense line at lunar orbit. 200 ships and 30,000 personnel. They were Earth's last wall before the aliens reached home. He knew the wall would fall. The simulations were clear. But walls did not need to stand forever. They just needed to stand long enough. We hold for 4 hours, he told his fleet. 4 hours for evacuation. 4 hours for the civilians. 4 hours for Project Prometheus to activate. Can we do that? The responses came back. Yes, yes. Yes, they would hold. Or they would die trying. The alien fleet was 48 hours away when Captain Day began his mission. Europa platform moved slowly toward them, broadcasting messages of negotiation. The aliens responded. They would accept Earth's surrender. They would spare some cities. They would allow some humans to live as servants. Day continued negotiating. He asked questions. He delayed. He moved his platform exactly where it needed to be 30-6 hours until impact. President Myra toured the underground cities. Massive shelters built over decades, deep beneath the earth. Millions of children were being moved there. Essential personnel, scientists, engineers, seeds for rebuilding. She held a 3-year-old girl who did not understand why she had to leave her parents. Mira promised her it would be okay. It was a lie. But it was a kind lie. 20-4 hours until impact. The alien fleet began final approach. Their weapons powered up. Energy readings spiked across the solar system. They were preparing for complete destruction. General Tay stood before the Project Prometheus control panel. Dr. Sung beside him. President Mira watched via secure link. Once we activate this, Sung said, we cannot stop it. The sequence will run automatically. 3 billion people will die. Maybe more. And if we do nothing? Myra asked. 14 billion will die. And humanity ends. Mira closed her eyes. She thought of her granddaughter, safe in a shelter deep underground. She thought of all the people who would never see tomorrow. She thought of the choice that was not really a choice. Activate Project Prometheus, she said. Tay's hand moved to the controls. May God forgive us, he whispered. He pressed the button. Across the solar system, weapons that had slept for 30 years woke up. Artificial intelligence systems came online. Gravitational disruptors began their work. The aliens did not notice. Not yet. They were too busy preparing to destroy Earth. They did not know Earth was preparing to destroy them first. The aliens attacked early. They were supposed to wait another 48 hours. They did not. Perhaps they grew impatient. Perhaps they wanted to catch humanity unprepared. Perhaps they simply did not care about their own rules. 340 alien warships broke formation and accelerated toward Earth. The attack began at 0347 hours, Earth Standard Time. Admiral Kwan's defense line at lunar orbit had 6 minutes of warning. 6 minutes to prepare. 6 minutes to say goodbye. All ships, Kwan transmitted. Remember what we fight for. Remember who we protect. Hold the line. The alien ships opened fire at maximum range. Beams of energy crossed the distance in seconds. The first human ship, the destroyer Incheon, exploded. 43 crew members died instantly. Then another ship. Then another. Kwan's flagship, the battleship Sejong, returned fire. Missiles and railgun rounds streaked toward the alien fleet. Most were intercepted by shields. A few got through. One alien ship suffered damage. 1 out of 340. The math was brutal. Pilot A sat in her fighter cockpit. Around her, 2,000 other pilots prepared for launch. They had trained for years. They knew their ships. They knew their weapons. They also knew they were going to die. Ghost Squadron, A transmitted. This is lead. Remember, we are not here to win. We are here to buy time. Make every second count. Understood, Led? And A? Yes? It has been an honor. She smiled inside her helmet. The honor was mine. 2,000 fighters launched. They formed a wave of metal and fire, accelerating toward the alien fleet. The aliens barely slowed down. To them, the human fighters were insects. Annoying but harmless. The fighters opened fire. Missiles and guns and experimental weapons that humanity had built in desperate haste. 90% of the shots were blocked by alien shields. The remaining 10% did minor damage. The aliens fired back. A watched her squadron die. Ships exploded. Life support failed. Pilots ejected into space with no hope of rescue. She kept flying, kept firing, kept trying. 6 minutes into the battle, her fighter took a hit. The left wing disintegrated. Her cockpit began losing air. This is Lyd, she transmitted. I am hit. Going down. Continue the mission. Her fighter spun into the void. Her last thought was of her daughter, safe on Earth, who would never know what her mother had done. The 2,000 fighters lasted 7 minutes. All of them died. They destroyed 3 alien ships and damaged 12 others. The aliens considered it a victory. Humanity's best attack had failed. The primitives were broken. That was exactly what humanity wanted them to think. Commander Wu watched from hiding. His ghost fleet, 12 ships designed to be invisible, floated in the shadow of the moon. The aliens passed within 1,000 kilometers and never saw them. Hold position. Wu ordered. Not yet. Wait for the signal. His crew was tense. They watched their comrades die. They watched the alien fleet advance. Every instinct screamed to attack. But they waited. Admiral Kwan's defense line was falling apart. 200 ships had been reduced to 70 in 20 minutes. The aliens were relentless. Their weapons never missed. Their shields never failed. But the humans kept fighting. The battleship Xizheng fired until its guns melted. When the weapons failed, Kwan aimed his ship at the nearest alien cruiser and pushed the engines to maxima. All hands abandon ship, he ordered. This is the end. Tell my family I love them. The crew evacuated. Kwan stayed at the helm. The Xizheng hit the alien cruiser at 40,000 kilometers per hour. The explosion could be seen from Earth. Both ships disintegrated. 700 human lives traded for 1 alien vessel. It was not enough. It would never be enough. But it bought time. 4 hours. That was the goal. 4 hours for Project Prometheus to charge. 4 hours for the real weapon to activate. 3 hours and 47 minutes remained. Dr. G watched her experimental weapon launch. The faster-than-light missile, humanity's secret project, accelerated toward the alien mothership. It was small. It looked harmless. The aliens did not even try to intercept it. They should have. The missile reached the mothership and detonated, but it was not an explosion. Space itself collapsed. Reality bent. For 3 seconds, a miniature black hole existed where the alien mothership had been. The mothership did not explode. It simply stopped existing. 4,000 aliens vanished. Gone. Erased from the universe. The black hole pulled in 47 nearby alien ships before it evaporated. They were crushed, compressed, destroyed. 48 alien ships gone in 3 seconds. The Galactic Concordat fleet finally understood. The primitives had weapons that should not exist. Technology that the Concordat's own scientists said was impossible. Fear entered their calculations for the first time, but they were still winning. 300 ships remained, more than enough to destroy Earth. They pressed the attack. Captain Day's Europa platform was dying. The aliens had noticed him trying to negotiate and decided he was irrelevant. They fired once. The platform's shields held for 2 seconds. Day stood on the command deck as the hull breached. As air rushed out, as his crew died around him, he had one last duty. Transmitting telemetry now, he said into the communicator. Sending you their weak points, their formation patterns. Everything we learned. Received, General Tay's voice replied. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Just make it count. The platform broke apart. 38 crew members died, but their data reached Earth. The targeting computers for Project Prometheus updated. The calculations became more precise. The aliens were moving into position, exactly where they needed to be. 3 hours and 12 minutes remained. Earth's orbital defenses activated. Thousands of weapons platforms hidden in satellites. They had been disguised as communications equipment, weather stations, research modules. Now they revealed their true purpose. Missiles launched. Lasers fired. Railguns sent projectiles at impossible speeds. The aliens destroyed most of them. But not all. One missile struck an alien heavy cruiser. The ship's shields flickered. For just a moment, it was vulnerable. Commander Wu saw his chance. "Ghost Fleet," he transmitted. "Attack now. Target the damaged ships. Make them count." 12 invisible ships suddenly appeared behind the alien formation. They had been there all along, hiding, waiting. Now they struck. Wu's ship fired every weapon at once. The damaged cruiser's shields were down. The shots hit the hull directly. Explosions rippled across its surface. The cruiser died. 11 more Ghost Fleet ships fired. 11 more damaged alien vessels were destroyed. Then the aliens realized what was happening. They turned their weapons on the Ghost Fleet. Wu's ships scattered, trying to remain hidden, trying to survive. 8 of them made it. 4 did not. Commander Wu's ship took a glancing hit. His engines failed. His weapons were offline. "This is Wu," he transmitted to his remaining ships. "Continue the mission. I will provide distraction." He aimed his dying ship at the nearest alien battleship and fired his last missiles. The aliens destroyed him before he got close. But the distraction worked. The other 7 Ghost Fleet ships escaped. 2 hours and 36 minutes remained. President Mira watched the battle from the command bunker. Every death was a number on a screen. Every destroyed ship was a statistic. But she knew these were people. People with families. People with dreams. People dying to buy time for a weapon that would kill billions more. "How much longer?" she asked. 2 hours and 36 minutes, General Tay replied. "The sun is charging. The gravitational disruptors are in position. But we need the alien fleet to move closer to Earth. They are bombarding us now." "I know." The aliens had reached Earth orbit. Their weapons fired down on cities. New York disappeared in a flash of light. 3 million people dead. Tokyo next. 6 million, Mumbai. 11 million. The death toll climbed. 3 billion people. That was the estimate. That was the price of Project Prometheus. But the reality was worse. 4 billion. 5 billion. The aliens were thorough. Myra watched the numbers climb. Each one was a failure. Each one was a life she could not save. "We have to activate now," someone said. "We cannot wait any longer." "No." General Tay's voice was firm. "The weapon needs time, and we need the alien fleet in the kill zone. If we fire early, we only wound them. We need to destroy them all." 1 hour and 42 minutes remained. Dr. Soong monitored the sun. The gravitational disruptors were working. The star's natural processes were being redirected, focused, weaponized. But it took time. The sun was massive. Moving its energy was like trying to turn an ocean. "How many people are still evacuating?" she asked. 200 million, someone replied. "They will not make it to the shelters in time." Soong closed her eyes. 200 million more deaths on her conscience, added to the billions already gone. "Continue the sequence," she said. The sun began to change. Astronomers on Earth noticed it first. The surface was rippling. Energy was building. Something impossible was happening. The aliens noticed too. Their sensors detected the anomaly. They analyzed it. Their computers ran calculations, and they began to understand. The primitives had not been fighting to win. They had been fighting to position the alien fleet, to gather them together, to make them a single target. The primitives had weaponized their own sun. The Arbiter, supreme commander of the Concordat fleet, sent an emergency transmission to all ships. Retreat. Full speed. Get out of the inner system. But it was too late. Project Prometheus reached full activation 50-7 minutes early, because humanity was dying too quickly to wait. General Tay gave the final order. Fire. The sun screamed. A coronal mass ejection, larger than any natural phenomenon, erupted from the star's surface. But this was not random. This was directed, focused, aimed with precision at the alien fleet. a wall of plasma and radiation, moving at millions of kilometers per hour, rushed toward Earth orbit. The aliens had 11 seconds to react. They fired every weapon. They raised every shield. They tried to run. It was not enough. The fire from the sun reached them. 799 alien ships died in the first wave, vaporized, melted, torn apart by forces that could crack planets. 48 ships survived the initial impact. They were behind the others, shielded by the deaths of their comrades. Commander Wu's remaining ghost fleet ships hunted them down. The battle that had seemed hopeless was over in minutes. Earth's orbital space was a graveyard. Human and alien ships, twisted metal, bodies floating in the void. But the alien fleet was gone. 847 ships had entered the solar system. 0 survived. President Mira stood in the bunker, staring at the aftermath. The cost had been terrible. 7.3 billion people dead. Earth's biosphere was damaged. The sun's surface was scarred, but humanity had survived. The primitives had won. Dr. Bora worked 3 kilometers beneath what used to be Geneva. The city above was gone. 7 million people had lived there. Now it was a crater of melted stone and glass. But the bunker remained. And inside the bunker, the controls for Project Prometheus still functioned. Bora had been the last person to touch the activation sequence. She had pressed the button that turned Earth's sun into a weapon. Now she sat in front of dead screens, watching the aftermath through sensors that had somehow survived. The alien fleet was destroyed, but the job was not finished. "We need to make sure," she whispered to herself. "Make sure no one knows how we did it." Her fingers moved across the controls. The quantum jamming system activated. Every piece of alien communication equipment in the solar system was suddenly blocked. No signals could escape. No data could be transmitted. The aliens had died. Now their deaths would be silent. Yun watched from a deep space observation post. She was one of the lucky ones. Her station orbited beyond Neptune, far from the battle, far from the sun's fury. She had seen everything. The alien fleet approaching. The human defense falling apart. The sun suddenly erupting with impossible energy. The alien ships dying in waves of fire. And then the silence. Every alien transmission stopped. The quantum jamming made sure of that. To the rest of the galaxy, 847 ships had simply disappeared into Earth's solar system. No distress calls. No warnings. No explanations. Just silence. Yun recorded everything. The data would be important later. Evidence of what humanity had done. Proof that the primitives could fight back. She thought about the people who had died. 7 billion of them. Maybe more. The numbers were still being counted. She thought about Pilot A, who she had trained with years ago. About Admiral Kwan, who she had met once at a conference. About Captain Day, who had sent her a message before Europa platform was destroyed. They were all gone. Heroes who would never be properly mourned because the living were too busy surviving. The Arbiter had commanded the Concordat fleet. He was from a species called the Vryn, tall and crystalline, ancient and proud. His people had conquered 100 worlds. In his final seconds. He understood what the humans had done. They had not just built weapons. They had weaponized physics itself. They had taken the fundamental forces of the universe and turned them into tools of war. His ship's sensors detected the approaching solar flare. His computers calculated the energy levels. Impossible numbers. Readings that should not exist. The Arbiter sent one last message. It never reached anyone because the quantum jamming blocked it. But he sent it anyway. Impossible, the message said. They weaponized a star. No species has ever. No species would ever. The cost. The sacrifice. What kind of creatures are willing to kill billions of their own to defeat us? Then the fire reached him. The Arbiter's ship melted. His body vaporized. His species lost a commander who had fought for 3 centuries. But before he died, the Arbiter felt something he had not felt in those 3 centuries. Fear. The solar flare was precise. Dr. Soong had calculated every detail. The wave of energy would destroy everything in Earth's orbital space. It would cook the inner planets. It would make the solar system glow bright enough to be seen from distant stars. Earth would survive. The planet was in the shadow zone, protected by its own magnetic field and the careful positioning of deflector shields. The shields had been built in secret over decades, disguised as research projects, hidden in plain sight. When the fire came, the shields held barely. The temperature on Earth's surface rose by 15 degrees in 6 hours. Oceans boiled at the edges. Forests caught fire. Weather systems went insane, but the planet survived. And the 7 billion people who remained survived with it. President Mira stood in the bunker, watching the surface through cameras. She saw the fires. She saw the storms. She saw the destruction that her order had caused. How many did we save? She asked. 6.7 billion, an aide replied. In the shelters, underground cities, protected zones, and the others? Dead, 7.3 billion, most during the initial bombardment. The rest when we activated Prometheus. Myra sat down. The numbers were incomprehensible. 14 billion people had lived on Earth 3 days ago. Now half of them were gone, but the other half survived. And humanity continued. What about the alien fleet? She asked. Destroyed. All 847 ships. We have confirmed debris from every vessel. No survivors detected. And their communications? Dr. Bora's quantum jamming worked. No signals escaped the solar system. As far as the galaxy knows, their fleet just disappeared. Myra nodded. The cataclysm wrapped in silence. That was what they were calling it. A weapon so devastating it happened faster than information could travel. An attack that left no witnesses. The galaxy would wonder what happened to the Concordat fleet. They would send investigators eventually. But by then, humanity would be ready. General Tai inspected the wreckage in Earth orbit. His ship moved slowly through the debris field. Pieces of alien vessels floated everywhere. Some were recognizable. Most were just molten slag. Salvage teams are moving in, his aide reported. We are recovering alien technology, weapons, computers, bodies for study. Good. We need to understand them. We need to learn everything we can. Sir, some of the bodies are still alive. Barely. Should we save them? Tay thought about it. The aliens had come to exterminate humanity. They had killed billions without mercy. What did humanity owe them? But humanity was not like the Concordat. Humanity did not kill helpless prisoners. Save them, Tay ordered. Medical care, containment. We treat them fairly. But watch them closely. The aide saluted and left. Tay looked out at the wreckage. This was humanity's victory. But it felt like defeat. So many dead. So much destroyed. And for what? To prove that humans could be as terrible as their enemies? He hoped it was worth it. Dr. Hai worked in the intelligence center, translating recovered alien data. The computers from the destroyed ships were full of information. Star maps, technology specifications, cultural databases. And military records. She found the files on the 17 species that had been exterminated before humanity. She read their stories, how they had been discovered, how they had been judged, how they had been destroyed. One species had surrendered immediately. The Concordat killed them anyway. Another had tried to negotiate. They were enslaved for 100 years and then exterminated. A third had fought and lost. Their planet was burned until nothing remained. Humanity was supposed to be the 18th extinction. Instead, humanity had killed the exterminators. Hai compiled the data into a report. She sent it to President Myra. The message was clear. The Concordat had never intended to let humanity live. Surrender would have meant death. Compliance would have meant death. The only option had been to fight, and fighting meant accepting terrible costs. Commander, Wu's remaining ships returned to Earth, 7 vessels out of 12. They had hunted down the fleeing alien ships and destroyed them all. Wu himself was dead, but his crew survived. They brought back trophies, pieces of alien technology, data cores, proof of victory. The pilots were treated as heroes. Parades were planned. Medals would be awarded, but the pilots did not feel like heroes. They felt like survivors of a nightmare. They had watched their friends die. They had killed thousands of aliens. They had seen Earth burning. Victory did not feel glorious. It felt like grief. Dr. G examined the wreckage of her faster-than-light weapon. The missile had worked perfectly. It had created a miniature black hole that destroyed 48 alien ships. Now she was building more. "We need 100 of them," the military commanders told her. 1,000. "We need enough to defend against the next attack." Because there would be a next attack. The Concordat had lost a fleet, but they controlled 10,000 worlds. They could build more ships, send more armies. Humanity had won one battle. The war was just beginning. Chi worked day and night. Her team grew from 10 scientists to 100. They built factories. They trained workers. They prepared for the future. The sun was damaged. Dr. Soong monitored it constantly. The gravitational disruptors had forced the star to release massive amounts of energy. That energy had to come from somewhere. The sun was burning its fuel faster now. Its surface was scarred. Its magnetic field was disrupted. "How long do we have?" President Myra asked. "Before what?" "Before the sun becomes unstable." Soong ran the calculations. 500 years. Maybe 1,000. It is difficult to predict. We heard it, but we did not kill it. 500 years, Myra repeated. Time enough to find a new home. Or time enough to fix what we broke. Myra nodded. Another problem for another day. Right now, they had to focus on survival. The quantum jamming continued. No signals left Earth's solar system. To the galaxy, this region of space was suddenly dark. The Concordat would notice eventually. They would investigate. They would discover what happened to their fleet. And then they would have to decide. Attack again and risk the same fate? Or leave humanity alone? Dr. Bora hoped they would choose wisely. But she prepared for the worst. 6 months passed. Earth began to recover. The fires were controlled. The storms calmed. The survivors emerged from their shelters and saw what remained. Cities were rubble. Forests were ash. Oceans were polluted. But life continued. Humanity rebuilt. They built new cities underground, protected from future attacks. They built factories to produce weapons. They built shipyards to create a fleet that could defend the solar system. And they built something else. Message. President Myra stood before the United Earth Council. The surviving leaders of humanity gathered in a bunker that had become the new capital. We have a decision to make, she said. We can hide and hope the Concordat forgets about us. Or we can tell them what we did. Make sure they understand. Make sure they fear us. If we reveal ourselves, they will come back, someone argued. They will bring more ships, more weapons. They will come back anyway, Myra replied. The question is whether they come back cautious or confident. I prefer cautious. The vote was close. But it passed. Humanity would send a message to the galactic CONKORDAT, not a plea. not an apology. A warning. Dr. Hai wrote the message. She chose the words carefully. She made sure the translation would be clear. Commander, Wu's remaining ships were converted into a single vessel. Fast, stealthy, armed with humanity's new technology. It would carry the message. And it would carry proof, complete recordings of the battle. Sensor data showing how the alien fleet was destroyed. Video of the sun being weaponized. Evidence that humanity was not prey. The ship was ready. The message was loaded. The crew was selected. Ambassador J stood on the launch platform. She was 52 years old. She had been a diplomat before the war. Now she was humanity's first envoy to the stars. You understand this is a one-way trip, President Mira told her. You will deliver the message and return. But you might not make it back. I understand, Jay replied. Someone has to tell them. It might as well be me. The ship launched. It left Earth's solar system. It traveled toward the Galactic Concordat's core worlds. It carried a message, wrapped in silence. A warning wrapped in fire. And humanity waited to see what the galaxy would do next. Ambassador. Jay's ship traveled for 3 months. It was the longest journey any human had ever made. Through alien space. Through territory controlled by species that wanted humanity dead. But the ship was invisible. Human stealth technology, improved with salvaged alien equipment, made it a ghost among the stars. Jay spent the time reviewing her message, reading it over and over, making sure every word was perfect. The message was simple, but its meaning was clear. You came to our home and demanded our surrender. You killed our people. You threatened our children. You called us primitives. We sent you a reply written in fire from our own star. Now we know where you live. Do not come again. Do not send others. Forget that Earth exists, and we will forget that you exist. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning. We are humanity, and we do not forgive. Attached to the message was proof. Video recordings of the battle. Sensor data showing the alien fleet being destroyed. Scientific analysis of how humans had weaponized their own sun. And one more thing. The coordinates of 12 Concordat worlds. Proof that humanity had learned where the enemy lived. The threat was clear. Leave us alone, or we will do to your worlds what we did to your fleet. Jay hoped they would listen. On Earth, recovery continued. 6 months after the war, the survivors were emerging from underground shelters. They saw a planet transformed by fire and desperation. President Myra walked through New Sol. The city had been rebuilt in the shelter caverns beneath the original site. Millions of people now lived underground in artificial light, breathing recycled air. Children played in parks that had never seen the sun. Families lived in apartments carved from rock. Workers commuted through tunnels that stretched for kilometers. It was not the world they had known. But it was alive. How many cities are operational? Mira asked her aide. 47 underground cities. 3 surface settlements. The rest are still under construction. And the population? 6.8 billion. We saved more than we thought. People hid in places we did not expect. Caves, bunkers, basements that somehow survived. Myra allowed herself a small smile. Humanity was stubborn. People had survived against odds. That should have killed them. That stubbornness had saved the species. Dr. Hai continued translating alien data. The captured computers contained incredible information. Technology blueprints. Faster than light travel. Energy weapons. Medical advances. But they also contained something else. History. The Galactic Concordat had existed for 50,000 years. They controlled 10,000 worlds. 23 different species had joined together in an alliance of mutual benefit. Or so the official story claimed. The real history was darker. The Concordat had started as 3 species who wanted to control the region of space. They conquered other species, enslaved them, forced them to join or be destroyed. The 23 species in the Concordat were not allies. They were prisoners who had learned to love their chains. High shared her findings with the military commanders. The implications were clear. The Concordat was not united. Many of its member species hated their rulers. If humanity played it correctly, those divisions could be exploited. We should contact the enslaved species, someone suggested. Offer them alliance. Help them rebel. Not yet, General Tay replied. First we need to be stronger. We barely survived 1 fleet. The Concordat can send 100 fleets if they want. We cannot fight them all. So what do? We build. We learn. We prepare. And we hope Ambassador Jay's message scares them enough to leave us alone. Dr. Soong worked on repairing the sun. It was damaged, but not fatally. The gravitational disruptors had forced it to release massive energy. Now they could be used to stabilize it. The work would take decades, maybe centuries. But it could be done. We hurt our own star to survive, Soong told her team. Now we heal it. That is the human way. We break things to save them. Then we fix what we broke. Her team worked day and night. Slowly, carefully, they adjusted the gravitational fields. They redirected solar winds. They stabilized the magnetic field. The sun began to heal. Commander Wu's remaining pilots trained new recruits. The Ghost Fleet had proven its worth. Now humanity was building more stealth ships, bigger, faster, better armed. We were invisible to their sensors, one pilot explained to the trainees, but only because they did not know to look for us. Next time, they will be ready. So we must be better. The new ships used alien technology, combined with human ingenuity. They could travel faster than light. They could fire weapons that the Concordat had never seen. They could hide in ways the enemy could not detect. Humanity was learning, adapting, evolving. Dr. G's faster-than-light weapons were in mass production. The first prototype had destroyed 48 ships. Now she had built 30 more. How many do we need? She asked General Tay. Enough to destroy 1,000 ships. 10,000. However many they send, that could take years. Then we have years. They are not attacking yet. G nodded and returned to work. Every weapon she built was insurance. Protection against the next invasion, because everyone knew there would be a next invasion. Eventually, Una returned to Earth after 8 months in space. Her observation post had survived the war. Now she brought back data, recordings, evidence of what humanity had accomplished. She also brought back nightmares. She had watched 7 billion people die. She had seen cities vaporized. She had witnessed the sun being turned into a weapon. The images would never leave her mind, but she continued working. She became an advisor to the military. She helped design sensor networks to detect alien ships. She taught others what to look for. Her trauma became her purpose. 3 months after Ambassador J left Earth, her ship reached the Concordat core worlds. She transmitted her message on every frequency, made sure every species could hear it. Then she waited. The response came quickly. A Concordat battleship appeared, weapons charged. They demanded she surrender. J activated her ship's shields and prepared to die, but the weapons did not fire. Instead, a communication channel opened. A voice spoke. It belonged to a species J did not recognize. We received your message. We are reviewing the evidence. Do not move. Do not attack. We will respond within 1 standard cycle. The channel closed. J waited. On the Concordat homeworld, the Grand Council gathered. 23 species. Hundreds of representatives. They watched the recordings from Earth. They saw their fleet being destroyed. They saw a star being weaponized. They saw 847 ships reduced to debris in minutes. The chamber was silent. Finally, someone spoke. This is impossible. No species can weaponize a star. The energy requirements alone. The evidence is clear. Another replied. They did it. Somehow, the primitives did it. Then we send a larger fleet. 1,000 ships. 10,000. And if they destroy those too? How many ships are we willing to lose? How many of our people are we willing to sacrifice? The debate continued for hours. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted caution. A few suggested negotiation. The decision was not unanimous. But it was clear. The Concordat would not attack Earth again. Not yet. They would quarantine the Sol system. Mark it as forbidden territory. List humanity as a threat species. And they would watch, study, learn. Someday they might return. But not today. Ambassador J received the response. It was short, simple. Your message has been received. The Galactic Concordat acknowledges the loss of Fleet 7 Alpha. We designate the Sol system as Quarantine Zone Alpha 9. All member species are forbidden from entering this region. Humanity is classified as apex threat. Do not contact us again. We will not contact you. Jay smiled. It was not peace, but it was survival. She turned her ship around and began the journey home. On Earth, President Mira received the news. The Concordat was backing down. They would not attack. Not immediately. How long do we have? She asked. Unknown, General Tay replied. Maybe years. Maybe decades. Maybe they will never come back. Or maybe they are just preparing a bigger fleet. Yes, that too. Myra looked at the reports on her desk. Earth was rebuilding. The population was recovering. Technology was advancing faster than ever before. Humanity had survived, but at terrible cost. 7 billion dead. A planet scarred. A sun damaged. A species changed forever. We paid the price, she said quietly. We did what we had to do. Now we live with the consequences. She called a meeting of Earth's leaders. They gathered in the underground capital. Representatives from every nation, every culture, every group of survivors. We won, Myra told them. But winning is not the end. It is the beginning. We must rebuild. We must prepare. We must make sure that if they come back, we are ready. And if they do not come back? Someone asked. Then we go to them. Eventually, we learn where they live. We have their technology. We can travel to their worlds. We can explore the galaxy. As conquerors? As equals. We proved we are not prey. Now we must prove we are not monsters. The leaders debated for days. Finally, they reached a decision. Humanity would build a fleet. Not for conquest. For defense and exploration. They would send scouts to distant stars. Make contact with other species. Search for allies. They would also prepare for war. Just in case. Dr. High met with the surviving alien prisoners. 47 individuals from 12 different species. They had been rescued from the wreckage and given medical care. Most of them were terrified. They had been told humans were primitives, weak, easy to destroy. Now they knew the truth. What will you do with us? One alien asked. Its translator made the words sound sad. We will send you home, High replied. When Ambassador J returns, you will go with her. You will tell your people what you saw. You will tell them that humans do not kill prisoners. Even though we tried to kill you? Even then, we are not like your Concordat. We do not exterminate species for sport. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke again. You are terrifying. You killed billions of your own people to defeat us. What kind of species does that? Hai met its eyes. The kind that survives. Months passed. Earth continued to heal. The underground cities grew. The surface settlements expanded. Slowly, carefully, humanity returned to the world above. Dr. Soong stood on the surface for the first time in a year. She looked at the sky. The sun looked normal, but she knew the scars were there, hidden beneath the surface. Damage that would take centuries to fully repair. We hurt you, she whispered to the star. But you saved us. Thank you. The sun did not answer, but it continued to shine. And that was enough. Ambassador J returned to Earth after 8 months. She brought the Concordat's message. She brought the alien prisoners. She brought hope. The celebration was small. Humanity had learned not to celebrate too loudly. Too many people were missing. Too many chairs were empty, but they celebrated anyway. Because they were alive. Because they had survived. Because they had proven that primitives could fight gods and win. President Mira gave a speech. It was broadcast to every shelter, every city, every settlement. We were tested, she said. We were pushed to the edge of extinction. We were forced to make choices that will haunt us forever. 7 billion of our people died. They died as warriors, as protectors, as heroes. She paused. Let the words sink in. But we survived, and we will honor their sacrifice by building something better, by becoming something more, by making sure their deaths were not in vain. The galaxy thinks we are monsters. They think we are dangerous. They are right. But we are also kind. We are also compassionate. We are also capable of mercy. We will not become the Concordat. We will not conquer. We will not enslave. But we will also not kneel. Never again will humanity beg for permission to exist. We are going to the stars, not as primitives, not as prey, but as equals. And if the galaxy tries to stop us, she let the sentence hang. Everyone knew how it ended. The galaxy had learned what happens when you threaten humanity. They had learned that humans could make stars bleed. They would regret that lesson. In orbit around Earth. Construction began. Shipyards, factories, defense platforms. Humanity was building a fleet. Not hundreds of ships. Thousands. Tens of thousands. If the Concordat returned, they would find a very different species than the one they had tried to exterminate. They would find humanity armed, prepared, unafraid. They would find humanity remembering. Dr. G looked at her latest creation, a weapon capable of destroying entire fleets. She thought about the cost, the lives lost, the sacrifices made. She thought about her daughter, safe in an underground city, growing up in a world that had been burned and rebuilt. What kind of future are we building? She asked herself. A technician working nearby heard her. A future where we survive, he replied. Whatever it takes. G nodded. That was the truth. Humanity had learned a hard lesson. Survival was not about being the strongest or the smartest. It was about being willing to do what others would not. To sacrifice what others could not. To become what others feared. The galaxy had gone to war with Earth. Humanity had responded with a cataclysm wrapped in silence, and the galaxy would never forget.